And welcome to the Nutz Podcast, episode 54. I'm your host, Dave, joined as always by Jordan and Paul. Gentlemen, this is a big one. We've said this before, but this is really a big one. We got a real special guest that we're going to have with us. We're going to bring him on in a second. We're going to do, obviously, Hold My Beer, overrated, underrated, and properly rated. Gentlemen, welcome to episode 54.
Yeah, buddy.
Episode 54. I hope none of us ever gets testicular cancer. We're gonna really mess with the name of this podcast, eh?
Yeah.
These 6 nuts.
No one wants to listen to 5 nuts, you know?
Well,
I'll get a replacement one put in, okay?
Yes.
One of those Chinese marbles or whatever.
Are you suggesting we do another marbles show, Jordan?
Chinese marbles.
There you go.
Yeah.
So no, I mentioned we got a huge guest. Like when I say huge, I mean this guy's huge, man. So Paul, I know that you made this happen, so thank you for that. Maybe just say a couple of words about our esteemed guest.
Definitely, definitely, yes. This guy's been an entertainer for 25 years. He is considered to be one of Ottawa's top magicians and mentalists. He's got over 2.5 million followers on TikTok, so I don't know how he responds to them all every day. Like, that would just take up all my time. He's been featured on Penn and Teller's Fool Us. I remember watching it. I was like excited to see him. You can find him live next Friday and Saturday, April 18th and 19th. He's going to be at the Prescott, which is at 379 Preston Street, if I'm correct.
Nice.
And he's going to be doing his show Turning Tricks. And on a side note, yours truly will be opening for him. So excited about that. Ladies and gentlemen, no ladies, just gentlemen. Put your hands together for Michael BOURADA.
Michael.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me.
I didn't mention too that we went to high school together. So like I've known him for 30 years, right? So
yeah. And
amazing.
Yeah.
He's in.
Funny.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I'm here. Pretty good. Funny story. Like if it's going to be 6 nuts and then there's going to be 8 nuts. At one point, it would have been 9 nuts. So when I was in high school with you, no one knew this. Like I had to take time off of school because I had like basically a 3rd nut. And I had to have it removed. Well, it was a hernia, and I didn't tell anyone forever, and it got worse and worse and bigger.
Yeah, you don't want to bring that to the cafeteria table, right?
So I was walking around with this bulge in my pants, and not the kind that I would really like. And so, with that said, it just
apparently it's more common than you think that like for guys to have 3 or 4 nuts, they're tiny. Well,
I was like embarrassed, man. Like I didn't tell even my parents for like 8-9 months, and it just got worse and worse. And then finally, I'm like, I thought maybe I had like testicular cancer or something. I don't know.
That's got to be so like. A friend of mine posted this once. I never forgot. He's like the scariest and best thing to ever have is your doctor check your balls, but then tell you you're okay. You know, I can't imagine what that would like going through in your head. You're like, if it gets bigger, I'll go. Okay, if it gets even bigger, then I'll go. You know,
the first time I went to it was like terrifying and like whatever, humiliating. And now I just like I make like appointments looking forward to going. Just, let's go, man. There
comes a point, I guess, where you got to kind of take just. Get a finger in your bum, you know what I mean? Like
that's it.
Right? So
it happens, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Jordan's not at that age yet, eh? But
yeah,
am I getting fingers up my butt?
Maybe not for medical reasons.
Don't even start there, stripper. Yeah.
Anyway, cool. Michael, welcome to the show. The world of magicians to me is completely fascinating, and not many people know much about it. I'd love to get to know a little bit more about you. If you can give us like a quick synopsis, how you got started in the field of magic, and when did you know that you were going to be a professional magician?
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about magicians in a second, but with me personally, I started when I was probably like I started performing steadily when I was like in middle school, and like my mom was a receptionist at a retirement home, and she knew I liked it, and I was putting together like the little show with like the cups and the balls, and and she's like, "Oh, I'll get you this gig." I made $30 or whatever the heck it was. I don't know what it was. I think that's what it was, and I did this like monthly there, like a reoccurring theme of magic, and then I just kept doing it, and it's funny. I started with retirement homes because they were an easy audience, right? Like just you can't go wrong. A young face going in there and doing magic tricks. They were just so thrilled that a young person's coming in and doing something fun. And I did more and more, and then I just branched off. It's obviously birthday parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I did it all through high school. I didn't tell a lot of people.
I didn't know this. I had no idea, man.
Yeah, I didn't start telling a lot of people till like OAC.
And like you were doing shows, like you were performing.
I was doing shows, and I really like played it up good. So like I would go into OAC. We'll use it as an example. I started telling people, including like teachers, started to learn what I did.
Yeah, explain what OAC is for.
So grade 13. Yeah. And so okay. I had like a lot of credits. I didn't need to do OAC. Like I just didn't want to go into the real world. And with that, I wanted a first period spare and a last period spare.
The best.
And so I went into the guidance counselor, and I was like, "You guys know I do like magic for a living." And they're like, "Yeah," or not living, but I'm doing magic shows. And they're like, "Yeah, that's great. It's great that you're pursuing your dreams." And I'm like, "Wow, listen, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling over the next 2 semesters. I'm going to need some extra time." And I convinced them to switch my classes so that I got the first period and the last period off.
Good for you.
Nice. So I showed up at like 10:30, left at like whatever, 1:30.
Yeah.
And, and that's when I started to tell people like just in grade 13 that I was doing magic. And then, obviously students found out about it, but I didn't really want to be like bugged at school. Like I like a lot of magicians, without sounding terribly mean, are like socially just like, and maybe I am sort of too, but just really awkward dudes, man.
Yeah.
And I like playing sports. I played sports my whole life. I like just hanging with the guys, going out partying. So I didn't want that like association. But then it started to like spread and whatever. I just kind of went with it. But after that, I continued to do shows. I did like half a semester at Algonquin, and I was like, "Oh, screw this, I'm out." And just put my foot to the floor. It's easy when
imagine you flashed a wand and went when you're
exactly. and it's easier when you're younger too, right? Like getting into the entertainment business, as anyone would know, you guys would know, it's like it's hard, man. And when you're younger and you have very little overhead, I was still living at home from 18 to 22, 23. And it allowed me just to like grow a business and I live like basically rent free, bank some money, invest in my show. Cause the magic business, you're investing in ideas and you're building things and there's all sorts of things you're putting money into. And so that allowed me to really grow. And I don't know, there's a few guys that get into it later, and I would say it's rather hard to get into it. The later you get into it, more difficult it's going to be.
Yeah. Do your costs? You like I know that like a lot of like comedians, like when I don't know, like a comedy club is featuring a specific headliner, right?
Yeah.
Let's say he's from Toronto. Like they will pay for his room and board, and I guess they get a per diem, and they so like it's kind of like it's not out of their pocket, right? Whereas when you're starting off, like you're saying in high school and stuff, no overhead, you're paying travel,
Oh, yeah.
And there's only so many shows that you can do. Like, I mean, I'd like to think that there'd be only so many that you'd be able to do in Ottawa. Like you have to branch out, right?
Yeah. So I tell guys that are either up and coming or just started off, whether it's full-time, part-time, I'm like, you gotta branch out of Ottawa. Now you can definitely carve out some money here. Like Ottawa, we're fortunate. Like I won't say it's recession proof, but if you want to just do like family events and stuff like that, Ottawa's got what, like a ton of ton of federal workers, as we
Yeah.
know, right? And then you got a ton of city staff. Like there's a huge a huge populace of people that work for the city. Then you got teachers, nurse. Then you got some pretty big suburbs, right? Like, Stittsville, Canada, Barrhaven, Riverside, and then Orleans. And, you could really work the family market and carve out a good chunk of cash for yourself.
Yeah.
But if you really want to branch out to that next level, you got to kind of think outside of Ottawa. Toronto, Montreal would be what I would always say. But even further, like, I have a work visa. I can work in the States. And
Do you go there a lot? Do you go to the States often?
Semi-regularly. I won't say regularly because I'm only going for like high-end corporate. That's really what I'm going for.
Which is where really, like, I know corporate gigs are considered to be a nightmare for comedians, but
Big money.
But
Big money.
It's usually good money, right?
It's a nightmare in general. Like, so I listen to a lot of pods, like we'll say like Fly on the Wall with like Dana Carvey and David Spade, because they talk about the business side with a lot of comedians, and they talk about corporate. It's a nightmare, but it's a nightmare for magicians too. Although I will say where it's not a nightmare, and I don't think it's a nightmare for comedians either, is there's a soft spot, like a sweet spot, which is what I'm really targeting. And I've really focused a lot of my attention into corporate in the last 10, 15 years. Yeah. But if you can get in and perform for like, in the States, it's like the Wild West down there. They have like 2 or 3 day seminars where people can't get shit-faced. There's still like a professional code of conduct they have to abide by, but they can have a few drinks and they're just looking for stuff like this. They are begging to take a break from like their like seminars and all this stuff. So I just did one. And thankfully this one was here hosted in Niagara Falls. I was just there 2 days ago and I did it, but oftentimes they're in the States. And like, again, those are like big hits. And, if you can get that like in the like 100 to 200 people sort of amount, like that is what you want, and you get a really nice group that's like highly engaged. When you're doing like the company parties, that's just like, guys, we're just gonna get absolutely blitzed. It's a friggin' nightmare. Now I have
they're probably a lot more like they're probably yelling a lot more, and it's kind of like
it's actually not even the yelling, it's the lack of engagement.
Okay.
Like, they are there. So you take a ticketed show. So like you talked about the show that we're doing next week, people are buying and investing money into going to those, right? And so they're in it to see something cool.
Of course.
But the corporate, it's like someone is handpicking it, and they're like, have fun. Like Kevin James tells a funny story on, I think like Rogan or something, and he's like, I got to go down to Miami, big gig, and he's like, the CEO loved me. So he goes out there and he just flies in, goes right to the venue, and he's sitting in this like little green room, hasn't seen anything. And then he pokes his head around the corner and he's like, this is a terrible setup. Well, welcome to like the corporate world, right? Yes. And he basically wanted to bail. And before they know it, they're like, all right, Kevin James, everybody. And he's like, shit. And he just goes out and does his bit. And he's like, the first, I just use him because he's just a huge name, right? The first 20 minutes was just like, he may as well have been talking to the wall.
Cricket. Like my show last night.
Yeah, and of course the CEO is like, yeah, I love it. And so, King of Queens. And so anyway, that's the corporate world for you. Cool. And you just kind of deal with it. And that's where the money is. Like as a comedian, as a magician, as a mentalist, whatever it is, there is money there. It's just hard to get it.
Nice.
And speaking of hard to get it, I've screwed up. We forgot to do the segment that we always start the show with. We forgot to do Hold My Beer.
Well, Mike needed to give us a.
Oh, sorry, I rambled on. I'm a rambler.
No,
I'll talk circular. So yeah.
No, that's completely on me. So I was just really excited about talking about magicians. So but we got to get to, because I see Jordan is really thirsty. He doesn't talk unless he drinks. So let's get to a segment called Hold My Beer.
You're watching Nutz Podcast, and this is how I hold my beer.
All right, Hold My Beer, a segment where we go around the virtual room and we introduce our beverages of choice for this episode. Let's start with you, Jordan, because you don't talk unless you drink. So
That's
Your
right.
beverage of choice.
I have had this one before. I'm doing Broadhead Brewery's Blueberry Blonde. I like blueberries and I like blondes. It is brewed locally here in Ottawa.
I like blueberries too,
Oh, that's fucking good.
and blondes.
Yeah, they're both great.
Yeah.
Yeah, after this segment, I do have a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's have a couple of drink skis here.
All right. And what's your rating, Jordan? Out of 10?
I'm gonna give it an 8.7.
8.7. That's higher than the last time you had blueberry blonde. So
It's an acquired taste.
yeah, exactly. All right, Paul, let's go down to you. Your beverage of choice. What do we got?
Jack
Oh,
Daniel's Tennessee Honey Lemonade. Can they make it any more appealing? You know, like
That sounds pretty
what's
good.
next? Pizza flavored whiskey. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I've ever had this before. On our last show, Mike, Dave must have spent a month straight calculating all the, like, tallying up all the beers that we've had in the 53 episodes. You know, like all on government time.
No.
No. He was
Just for the
wrong.
record.
I'm
No,
just
no.
kidding. I'm kidding. That's pretty good. 7.7. Yeah, it's not bad.
7.7.
That beer last week, though, I'd love to get my hands on some of those.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find them again. They were really good. It was the Broadhead Brewery's raspberry. I don't.
Yeah, I looked it up. They said that they sold it at Bulk Barn. I was like, I walk into Bulk Barn. I'm like, do you guys
Bulk
have
Barn.
beer here? There's all bunch of old people buying like gummy bears and macadamia.
Exactly.
You're like, no. I'm like, okay. Yeah. The liquor store is literally right next door. Yeah.
All right. Rating for this one, Paul?
7.4, 7.7.
7.7. All right. Mike, over to you. Your beverage of choice for this episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna go non-alcoholic because I just don't drink very often at all. So I always love a good Coke Zero. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. Pretty unoriginal, but I guess like I could have branched out a little bit and gone with like something like a root beer or something like that.
Root beer's the best, eh?
No, it's okay. It's about time we had a little bit of Coke on this podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't feel bad, Mike, because I've had tea in this segment and
Okay,
we've
so I
had
don't.
water. So
Yeah, Jordan did dry
bad.
January, so you can imagine what those 4 episodes were like. He's just like, I'm doing water, tap water.
Exactly.
I do have water here too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. All right, and we always ask for a rating, so I'm going to ask you to rate Coke Zero.
I'm gonna say like a 7 because I prefer the real thing. It just makes me diabetic and fat. So like I go with the Coke Zero, and just to be a little healthier, I guess.
An even 7. Nice. And I'm going to finish the segment with a Twisted Tea vodka-based drink. First time I've ever had it. So,
Dave, look,
oh my God, look at you.
I had one of those. I had one of those before. I like to get drunk before I get drunk.
Oh, that's a good drink. I'm going to give it 9.724.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings, now that we got business out of the way, Jordan, I think I'm going to throw to you. You had a question for Mike.
Well, it's I guess a little conversation here. So I dabbled in a little bit of magic.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Really?
we had I went to school, and the way our terms were set up, we had so many classes every single freaking day.
Hogwarts.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
but when,
Yeah.
it was
General
like a
Awards more
Friday-
like it, eh?
Sorry.
Anyway, go ahead, Sir Jordan.
On a Friday, our last period, they gave us called like an options class. So there was like a bunch of teachers that had different hobbies or whatever, and they would teach it to students. And I remember this one teacher I had, Mike Murray, was I guess a magician on his off time, and he taught magic to a bunch of us kids. So I know like a couple tricks here and there. And I always we always thought he was like in a class of other magicians. Like, is that a thing? Do you guys like socialize together, or like? No, that's
Yeah, so it is a thing, and I don't hang out with a ton of magicians. I have a few acquaintance friends, I guess, and then one or two magician friends, and that's it. And I like to keep my life like separate from it. And so there's a few groups here locally, just to kind of tie into what you're saying, that get together, and they seem like cool guys, but it's just not my thing. I don't. I do this full time. I don't need to spend my, free time and go into that. But there's absolutely groups that are into they get together like monthly or bi-weekly or whatever, and they share their latest whatever sleight of hand, little finger flickers is what I call them. And they're just doing like the stupidest thing with cards. But all of that being said, people eat that up, right? And they're again, good guys. Like, if I've chatted with many of them, just independently, one-on-one or whatever. But they absolutely exist, those groups. And if anyone was ever interested, they're pretty accepting, pretty open to having new people come out, and hobbyists, enthusiasts, etc.
Yeah, I'm not saying I would get back into magic again. I lost the Faces Award last year to a magician as Comedian of the Year. So,
who was that? Who beat you?
I don't know. No one. I don't know. If it was you, I'd be like, sick, man. You seem like you're funny, but I don't know. I don't know who this guy was.
For comedian, I know who it was.
Yeah. Mike, I was gonna ask you, who are you? Like, obviously, I know you, like you were saying, you were on Penn and Teller, and they've been around for a long time. And there's, David Copperfield, and, back even before we were alive, Houdini and stuff. But did you have somebody that kind of, inspired you? Like, we all have favorite comedians that kind of put us, sort of drove us to want to do what we're doing, kind of thing. And I assume it would be the same thing for you. Like, someone must have blown your mind so much so that you're like, oh, my God, I want to do this.
Yeah, totally. There's a magician. He played Vegas. He's not as mainstream as we'll say Copperfield, Penn and Teller, or even like Chris Angel or David Blaine, for example. His name was Lance Burton.
I've heard Lance Burton,
he is more of like a traditional magician. And when I first got into it, that's what I wanted to be. So I had a suit, and when I first got into it, like a bow tie, and that's what he did. And he was like an old school magician. And I also worked with birds for years. And
oh wow.
Yeah,
it was not the flu.
Yeah, exactly. And so he had a bird act, like an award-winning bird act, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is it. So I did it for like 10 years. This bird act, or maybe not that long, but that's who it was. Without question,
cool.
that's I.
When you obviously watch The Illusionist, The Prestige, you've seen those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see things when you see guys do tricks? And I know magicians are kind of they never reveal their tricks, right? And I know when the magicians get together, they talk about stuff, but when you that you're talking about birds, there's a scene in one of those movies, I think it was The Prestige, where they're talking about deboning the bird.
And they just crush them down.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing when you see a trick. It kind of loses its amazingness, because it's like, oh, you just did that,
Yeah.
But if it's not told, and that's the whole thing. Like, how the hell do you do that? I was gonna ask you, when you first used the Mr. Clean magic eraser, were you like, oh, I know how they do this. I know how they clean,
Yeah.
This is just a joke, but because you're a magician and you see things, you kind of know how they're doing these tricks.
Yeah, no, a lot of it's just the same principles. Every now and then someone will stump me where I'll have to watch it back, and I'll be like, oh, okay. But there's just a lot of just similar principles that go into a lot of magic.
Yeah.
And with that, so I don't people will send me links all the time to Britain's Got Talent, and they'll be like, did you see this guy? And I'm like, yeah, he's great. I didn't watch it. I don't know. It just doesn't move the needle for me anymore. And that's kind of sad when you think about it. And same, I use my wife. So in magic, we call this, we call people that don't know anything about magic, there's a term for it. It's called lay people, lay person, right? And, my wife, when I met her 20 years ago, she used to really like magic. Now she fucking hates it. You know what I mean? I'll show her something. She's like, I don't care. She's like,
one of your bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the worst to try to bounce an idea off of, because she's seen it all, right? And so, and the same a lot of magicians. And so this is what drives me nuts, is when magicians come out. I don't know if it's the same like this in the comedy world. You tell me. I would imagine it's not. But when magicians come out to shows and watch other magicians, they sit there I mean, I don't. I try to enjoy it. If I actually go
We
to
were
a
talking
magic
about this
show,
last night. Same
Yeah.
thing with comedy.
they sit
100%.
there like this and they're like analyzing the
Yeah.
stupidest shit.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, be an audience member, man.
Yeah.
Like, just like even
Oh,
if
yeah.
you know what's happening, like put your hands together, laugh.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
so-
And we were the three of us were literally talking about this exact thing last night, like about
Yeah.
how comedians are very similar. You know, like they don't like oh, that's fun, that's funny, cool. They don't want to laugh to give you the gratification or something.
Yeah. So I'd imagine it's probably like that, like very much like that, right? But like, yeah, you would go see. Here's the thing, and you correct me if I'm wrong again. If you went and saw like a Maniscalco or something like that, like just like one of the or a Bargatze, guaranteed the same people that went to your shows
Would be dying laughing.
would be like just like
Yeah.
sucking them off, right? And
Yeah,
being like,
yeah,
oh, this is amazing. And the same thing with magic, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what pisses me off. So if I see a magician in my crowd, I can almost always pick them out, and it drives me nuts. So if I ever go to a magic show, which is very rare, I make a point to be
Participate.
like engaged and
Good for you.
participate.
Good for you, man.
Be there.
Good for you.
So like, I don't know. What's funny is like I love what you guys do. Like I love what comedians do. If I had to do it all over again, I would love to try to take a swing at comedy. Now, here's my weakness: is I'm not like witty, fast enough comedy. Like sometimes I am. I'm like scripted comedy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like all the jokes in my show.
Most comedians are,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like I watch like a Rife or something, like a Matt Rife, and like
Yeah.
what he
Crowd
does
work guys.
floors me, man. Like it's
Yeah.
like the wittiness. I don't know how much of that is set up. Maybe you guys have some inside knowledge, but
I might.
yeah,
I might.
like some of it feels too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because he got plants. So
Yeah.
I've never done this. I like doing crowd work,
Yeah.
like kind of what he does, but I have set material.
Yeah.
So there's something called like the consciousness of comedy is to make your set material seem like it's naturally coming out of you.
Yeah,
But then there's a crowd work like what he does, but there's you might deny it, but there's plants. You have plants in the audience, and you'll ask these absurd things like he did his last special, and he's trying to act like this is completely random, but you set it up because your first special that you had on Netflix sucked dog shit, and it was like people saw your set work. He is skilled with the work in the crowd, but
He's also young too, and I'm sure you get better at. Like we talked about Sugar Sammy, he's a comedian from Montreal. He does a lot of crowd work, and it's one of the funniest shows, if not the funniest show I've ever seen.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. It's incredible how he's. But I've heard his sets. Like I bought the CD from the night I was there because he was selling CDs, and I've heard him do sets at other venues and stuff, and he sets his jokes up kind of the same way, which we all do, you know what I mean? But he's still very like right away kind of thing, you know. And it's admirable kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's where I wish I was a little bit more skilled, but that's just like a natural ability, I feel like. And like, I know what you're talking about too, right? Like, so Jordan, you were saying Rife's last special, that the one about the dreams and stuff like that? Is that yeah. I watched that on a plane, and I remember watching it with my wife, and I'm like, there's no way they haven't got like all sorts of inside info. Like, what are the chances you find someone who's like someone was like a specialist in like blowjobs or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. Like, you know what the chances of that happening? You're going to a comedy show, and then he picks you.
Exactly. And that's like, come on, man. Like,
it was still funny. Like, full credit. Like, I think he's great. Like, I truly do. But yeah,
Mike, I gotta tell you this. I was gonna tell you this when I see you next weekend, but this is a perfect time for it. So, I mean, I've never been to a magic show, really. Okay.
Yeah.
I was in New York City. I'd say about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and I was with my ex at the time, and it was like our last night there. Okay, and we're like walking down like, you know, this like off Fifth Avenue, kind of walking back towards where our hotel was. You know what I mean? And it's not really anybody on the street. You know, it's the cars going by or whatever kind of thing. It was not like what you picture, like Crocodile Dundee, when there's thousands of people walking down. Anyway, you know, here we are. It's like 10 o'clock. We just come back from a restaurant. We're getting to like a crosswalk. So, you know, like we're getting to an intersection, and this guy comes out like from around the corner and just like up to us, and he's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" He goes, "I was wondering if I could just show you guys a couple things. I'm a traveling magician. This is what I do for a living. I move around and he like, it's like he didn't even give us time to like, do you have a moment to talk about the Lord? Like, no, he wasn't like, you know what I mean? He right away.
Yeah.
Like we were like, okay. And he kept us like, I thought about it to this day. Okay. What this guy did, it was maybe 10 minutes we were with him, but he showed us a trick. Okay. And then he showed us another trick and he's talking to us while he's doing it. Okay. And then, you know, like he was saying, he's like, look, he goes, how about this? I'll do one more trick for you. Okay. But because I'm a traveling magician, I usually kind of ask if the trick wows you, if I can get a donation from you somehow, you know, like whatever. And I was like, okay, sure. You know, like his first two were pretty cool, you know, like, and so he goes, all right, just pick a random card. Okay. Pick just a random card from a deck. And he goes, whisper it to your girlfriend. All right. 6 of clubs is what I picked, and I'll never forget it. He goes, okay. He goes, we've obviously never met before. I'm like, no. He goes, all right. Takes out a deck of cards unopened, takes the plastic off, opens his deck up, okay, pulls out the deck, starts fanning it out, and it's like the bicycle with the two jokers, and then all the cards are in order, like ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then ace of the diamonds, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the spades, ace, 2, 3. And the 6 of clubs was upside down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just reached my pocket and I gave him like all the money I had in my pocket. I just reached my pocket. I gave him like $65 or something. Yeah. And I was like, the two of us left after. He's like, thanks a lot, folks. You know, here's my card, whatever. Two of us left. We walked back. It was like 3 blocks to the hotel. We two of us didn't say a word to each other. We were just like, what the fuck just happened? You know? And I'm sure you saying that to you, I mean, I'm sure you, there's the only thing I could think of is he had to have been like, you know, I've been, you know, traveling all over the place. I used to be in 6 different clubs before, you know, like he must have I'm thinking as a mentalist.
Like subliminally.
He must have done something throughout this time that like, because I cannot figure out, and which is the most.
It stuck with you. Here we are 10 years later, still talking about it.
David Blaine special or whatever, and people are just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I will never forget
My
that.
aunt would have a simple.
Yeah.
My aunt would have a simple response for you. It's voodoo. It's voodoo.
Something. Listen to this. 2 things happened in New York to me. The time before I was in New York, very quickly. A couple of our buddies were there for a bachelor party. We're going to a bar that's like by the water. It's on this boat. It's the middle of the daytime. You know Jordan O'Leary?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I was with like Latimer.
He loves watching.
Latimer
loves watching my show.
Yeah, man. So we're going. It's the middle of daytime. We're walking down the street, and there's this like she looks like a homeless woman sitting on the side of the road on like a milk crate, you know, with like a blanket out in front of her, and one of her eyes was like all like off to the side, and she had scraggly hair. She looked like a witch. Okay, and she's like, "Can I guess your fortune?" You know. And Jordan and I are walking together. We just walked by her, and O'Leary turns to me. He's like, "I'll pay for it if you get her to guess your fortune." I'm like, "Let's do it." I turn around, go back to her, and just like kind of right away, right off the bat, she's like, "You had your father died when you were young." And O'Leary and I look at each other, and two of us stand up and move back. We're like, "What the?" And she's like, "Do you want me to keep going?" And we walked away, and I remember walking away, like backing up, walking away from her. My hair is standing up on my arms right now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it. Like, I'm stuttering, just trying to come up with that. But like, magic, whatever's mentalist. I didn't say a word to this woman, and she right away picked that out. My father died. You know, I was 5 years old.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like that guy, the magician that did that 6 of clubs thing. Like, I mean, what I'm saying to you is, what trick was blown your mind when you were young? Like you're talking about that gentleman. Like, was there something that was like that you'll never forget seeing?
Yeah, there's a few things Copperfield did on specials that I was like, oh my god, like that's unbelievable. A little later do I find out that he used twins.
How he landed Elle Macpherson. That's a freaking.
He used what? What did he use?
He used twins to do the effect.
Oh, okay.
So he doesn't do it anymore because he doesn't actually use girls in his show anymore.
Right.
And so that, and I remember seeing Lance Burton do some stuff too with the birds, and I was just like, like jaw to the floor.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And
Crazy.
I know the feeling, and it sucks because I never experience it anymore.
Yeah.
But like I know the feeling. Funny, like you mentioned the thing with the cards turned upside down or whatever. I opened my show with something similar, which you'll
Okay.
see next week.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, you'll see it's similar. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
wait.
How many, Mike? How many? Like we write jokes. So do I call them tricks or
Yeah.
like
Well, routines,
How many-
tricks, yeah.
how many tricks do you think you have in your repertoire that you could perform, or that you have performed in your career? Like, is it hundreds, thousands?
Hundreds easily, well in the hundreds. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
come up with them on your own? Like, okay, like I'd like to be able to like make a card float. And you have to figure out how to do it, or-
I would love to sit here and say like, oh, so in magic, I find, this is my opinion, someone might tell you different. There's two different like kinds of people. There's presenters and creators, and
Okay.
every now and then you get someone that's like a mix of both, but it's not often.
Yeah.
And so magic often is like someone else will come out with an idea, and you'll either read about it in a book, and then you can put your own spin on it, your own scripting, your own wording, or you can buy the rights to perform it,
Okay. Yeah.
put your own scripting, everything, all this stuff, or you can create something altogether. But oftentimes, you're taking sometimes an old principle. Like what I did on Fool Us was not like, I knew I was never fooling them with that, because Teller is like an encyclopedia for magic.
What is he? Wikipedia for magic?
Yeah. He's like an encyclopedia, Wikipedia for magic. And he was going to know that it's just like a classic magic trick. And you watch, he's like, oh, there's some art behind you, and it reminds me of an artist. And he says the artist's name. Well, that's the guy who wrote what I did. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You know how they talk in their
okay.
like code
So
messaging.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so like,
He's dissecting you. What it feels like.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's, that's how a lot of it kind of comes about. You could buy stuff at like a shop or whatever. No problem. And it's funny, like sometimes you can get like a real winner from something that's old and that's readily available at a magic shop, and just put some cool spin on it, and all of a sudden, people are easily fooled. Like I never used to think that until about like 10, 15 years ago, and I'm like, shit, man, people are dumb. Like, it's just,
True.
and
They say a person is smart, but people are dumb. You
Yeah.
People like.
Sometimes like I'm just like floored by what will fool some people, not everyone. But I mean, in saying that, so like I try to I have about 120 minutes of good material ready to go.
Wow.
I wish I could travel like you guys, where you just show up and grab a mic and go.
Yeah.
I'm traveling with cases, right? And cases. Like so,
Birds, like that must be wild.
And let me flip it around. Like, how much active material could you guys do if I called you today and I was like, I have an event, I have 75 people or 100 people or 200, whatever, and I was like, I need 60 minutes. You guys could do that, no problem, right? Like 60 minutes, or like, are you guys just constantly just working on the same?
We all
like,
feel that
set?
same way. Jordan's the most experienced comedian of all of us. I find my material, I have to shorten it up. This is a term called trimming the fat off your jokes. To take out words you don't need, take out things that are just going to delay the laughter,
Yeah.
Sort of like a subliminal or like subconscious way to keep them, wowed or whatever, or like entertained, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I find I could talk to you for 10,000 years straight about shit, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If I had the time, right? But it's, we get 7 minutes, 8 minutes normally for like, when we're doing open mics and stuff, 10-minute one here and there. But Jordan definitely could, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you playing regularly, Jordan? Like, are you doing like a circuit of clubs like throughout Ontario? Like, how's that?
Yeah, so it's luckily I'm not contracted to a single club, which is great. I just left the club, so it's basically anywhere in Ontario, a couple spots in Montreal, stuff like that. So I can't say I'm specifically at a spot. The place I've done most would be Cultures and Yuck Yucks. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
In terms of timing for jokes, like for me, it's difficult to do just 6 minutes. I need
Agreed.
longer, which some people have a hard time just doing, like getting to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm doing 6 minutes, I have to figure out my top jokes, how to fit them all into 6 minutes and keep everybody engaged, and know that I'm respecting whoever the producer is to stay within that time limit and not to drag on. So that way another comic is having to speed the process up. So I typically
like one of your tricks could take on average to 6 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah. And some could take 60 seconds. Right?
Yeah, like you could some a couple seconds, right? But like, it's like what Jordan just saying. Like he has trouble saying it's 6 minutes. Like
I could see that.
If you're telling one story, like you can talk, but if you're just talking and building up, and not putting funny things in between to the ending better be like the 6 of clubs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's the thing about magic is I guess with like David Blaine, so to speak, walking around and doing that street magic, like it's generally a 6-minute thing, but like it's you're still getting the same reaction out of them. Like they're entertained, but
and I think of like I can't imagine I just watched most of it. I haven't finished it yet. Andrew Schultz's recent one, Life, there on Netflix, and that was like I was saying to my wife, because I watched it with her. I'm like, man, he's got like a joke every like 20 seconds. It feels like, maybe less, but he's not even gotten to the end of the story that he's telling. You know what I mean? And like that's just like an art. So I couldn't imagine doing like 6 minutes, and like Jordan saying, you have to respect other people's times. And so they're like, well, you got 6 minutes. It's like, shit, that would be harder than doing like 20 as a comedian, in my opinion. I don't know, I'm not a comedian, but
no, it's true. Last night Paul came up behind me because I was headlining, and he goes, how much time are you doing tonight? And I was like, 20 minutes. And I remember the last time I was at Yucks, I had 6 minutes, and that went by like that. And for some reason, I don't know, it just mentally I'm able to do it. At the end of my set, I knew exactly where the 20-minute mark was, and when I got to my final punchline, and I went home to check my recording to see where it was, it was 19 minutes 58 seconds.
Wow.
Amazing.
Crazy.
It's amazing.
So you were at Yucks yesterday, like which one? Like the one at Biagio's there? Or
that was the 6-minute one, Yucks at Biagio's,
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And speaking of time, I know, Dave, Mike, you've got limited time with us. We got to move on to our next segment.
Yeah.
It's a segment What's that?
Was it our last segment?
Second last.
So we got something we called overrated, underrated, or properly rated. All right. This is a very simple segment, Mike, where we'll just go around the virtual room. I will bring up a topic or a thing, and I'll get each of you to comment. Tell me if you think it's overrated, underrated, or properly rated. We are going all Canadian because we got our elbows up. It's election time, so everybody's got elbows up, and it's Canada first. So we're going to do an all Canadian overrated, underrated, or properly rated. Jordan, we'll start with you on this one. Ketchup chips, which is apparently Canadian. Ketchup chips, overrated, overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
If you ask anybody outside of Canada, and then you tell them ketchup chips, their immediate response is yuck until they taste it. So I'm going to say that it's underrated. I think ketchup chips are 100% underrated.
Agreed.
It sounds disgusting, but they taste fucking delicious.
Okay, that's so you said underrated, Jordan?
Absolutely.
All right, Paul, let's go down to you. Ketchup chips.
Jordan said it all. Absolutely. I remember my sister used to work at the drugstore right next to our house when we were young. 50 cents for a bag of ketchup chips, and I used to call the drugstore. I'd call it like 10 to 9 just before she was leaving. I'm like, can you bring me home a bag of chips and a Mars bar and a Dr. Pepper? And she'd bring me home, like $1.50 for all three of them, right? And it's like, yes, I still have that. So every time I have ketchup chips now, I think about when I was a kid and how much I love ketchup chips. The only thing I don't like about ketchup chips is if you eat a big bag, which I've done many times. Like, what'd you have for dinner? A big bag of ketchup chips.
Exactly.
Like you destroy the roof of your mouth and their tongue.
Yeah.
Like, just take your taste buds for a ride, eh? But,
Exactly.
I still think they're underrated. Yeah, if anybody doesn't like ketchup chips, they're out to lunch.
Exactly.
What
All
is
right,
that? Mike's like,
Mike, over to you. Ketchup chips.
So I loved ketchup chips till I was about 8 years old. I ate a whole bag. I'll never forget this. I threw up all over my parents' carpet and couch.
Oh,
Just
jeez.
red.
It was like, yeah, it was like probably the scene from like Game of Thrones. And yeah,
Yeah.
and with that, ever since, even the smell of them just
Oh, I
turns me
know.
Oh,
right off. I
Yeah.
can't do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, it scarred me for life. I loved them once upon a time. So I'm gonna say, I guess I'll have to say overrated because yeah, no, it's still PTSD on those. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh man, I'm feeling bad now that I picked ketchup chips. But, I'm gonna go with Jordan and Paul. Underrated, man. The Americans don't know what they're missing. I think it is one of the best chips on the planet. And like Paul said, if you don't like ketchup chips, you are dead to me. Except you, Mike. Except you, Mike.
You might
You're
as
not-
well be a Nazi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm shocked the Americans wouldn't like it, to be honest with you, because they like anything that's.
They don't have all dress
do.
stuff either. Like, they don't have all dress chips, which are delicious.
Yeah, they don't have a few things that we have. Which
Yeah,
is
like free
bizarre to me.
healthcare.
I think if you put ketchup chips, if you deep fried it, they probably love it because they like anything deep fried. All right, let's go back to a new topic, Mike. We're going to start with you on this one. We got the NHL playoffs starting very soon. The Sens are in. So I know that you also played hockey, Mike. So NHL playoffs, overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
Underrated, huge hockey fan, big Sens fan. Got my tickets already.
Yes.
And yeah, I can't wait. I'm so excited they're back in. I love the first round. It's the best round in all of sports. I would
Agreed.
challenge anyone to say it's not. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Underrated.
Paul.
I'd say properly rated because, I mean that in a very respectful way, just like what Mike said. I mean, this is Canada, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't normally watch sports. Like, I don't watch football or anything like that. I've told the story before. Like, I was at Real Sports once when the Sens were in the playoffs, and all the TVs that they had on. And I asked the waitress if she could change one of the TVs. To TV. Can you change the TV to Jeff? She's like, seriously? Like, the first section, you know what I mean? Like, anyway. But when the playoffs are on, I find myself like looking to what time the game's on. So I say properly rated because it's considered incredible. So that's what I mean by properly rated.
All right, properly rated. Jordan.
I am, and I'm only saying this in comparison of the other big four sports franchises. I think the NHL playoffs are absolutely underrated. We don't need a halftime show. We don't need super teams.
Yeah, I
you
guess.
never know who is actually going to win the cup.
Can I change my answer now to what Jordan's saying?
No.
We can put in predictions all year long, and we still will tune in every single year to see who's playing. I mean, as Canadians, we haven't seen a Canadian team win a cup since, '93 when it was the Habs.
Yep.
But yet we still sucker ourselves into watching this. Why? Because it's amazingly entertaining. Fights, the speed, the hits, the physicality, the even just the strategy on the ice.
Also, the money that it brings to the city. Like, you look at like when Toronto or Ottawa's in the playoffs. Remember how Ottawa had the Sens Mile? Like, bars are
Just
jammed.
put it up today.
People
put up
are
the
spending
signs.
money. Everybody's happy. People are having sex. You know, like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's so positive, and it's so like, I've always wondered about that. How much money gets spent on the not just the playoffs, but the accoutrement to it. You know, everything that comes with it. So
Local economy, huge for sure.
Absolutely, and I'm going to agree. It's properly rated here in Canada. In the U.S., underrated for sure. I think it would be a lot more popular if the NFL didn't have betting attached to it. I think it's a lot more entertaining than the NFL, that's for sure. So properly rated here, underrated in the U.S. We got one more to go. Jordan, we'll start with you. This is kind of an odd one, so buckle up. 5-pin bowling. This is a Canadian thing. Overrated, underrated, or properly rated, Jordan?
So I did YBC for a very long time, 4-step bowling. I am a pro 5-pin bowler. It is much safer than 10-pin bowling. The balls aren't
Yeah.
as heavy. If you have small wrists, it's a great little hobby to have. So I'm gonna say it's underrated. It's very family oriented. You can take your kids to it. It's tough to take a kid to pick up one of those bigger
100%.
balls and toss it down the lane. So I will say
Absolutely.
it's underrated. It's much better than 10-pin.
All right, Paul.
I gotta say underrated as well. Every time I go bowling, it's like picking up a $10 hooker. You know, it's still a lot of fun. You know, like it's like, oh, I didn't know that would be that good. Not that I've never done that, but I'm just saying. Every time I go to bowling, like I'm thinking about, like I watched Kingpin the other day too for like the 100th time. I just think about like bowling's fun. It's just a fun thing to go and do. So it's definitely underrated.
All right, Mike.
I'm gonna say properly rated because I don't mind 5-pin bowling. I think it's good. I love 10-pin bowling. I used to so they just opened Splitsville here in Canada.
Yep.
And so I took my kids there. We loved it. But I used to.
What a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's an American franchise, I believe.
Oh, I thought just because Splitsville.
Yeah, no, it's totally for several reasons.
Yeah.
So I used to when I was a teenager, like my buddies and stuff, like just after high school, we used to gamble on 10-pin bowling, like serious money at MacArthur Lanes of all places. Just like,
oh my god,
you got to worry about not only losing your money but actually getting mugged and losing your money at MacArthur Lanes. But I don't even know if that place is still open. So I have fond memories.
It's gone.
10-pin bowling as well, and but no issues with 5-pin bowling. Fun too, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've never actually tried 10-pin bowling, so I can't really comment on that. But I think 5-pin bowling is properly rated. It's always a good time. And I used to bowl at MacArthur Lanes and go to Louis Pizza after for
Louis Pizza, right?
place. Oh, classic pizza, classic.
Those sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, there you go. So that will bring an end to overrated, underrated, or properly rated. We got one more piece of business, and then we are out of here. We're going to do final thoughts next. All righty, final thoughts, where we will go around the virtual room and give us your final thoughts. It could be promote upcoming shows, social media, or talk about ketchup chips, whatever you want. Jordan, we will start with you. Your final thoughts, episode 54.
I just want to say I feel blessed lately doing shows at Crazy Horse all up throughout Ottawa, doing really well for myself in terms of producing shows. I have a show coming up tomorrow, actually, part of a collaboration with Montreal Comedy Club with Sugar Sammy's brother, Sid Kular.
Amazing.
So if you guys are not doing anything, come on out to Portage Orchard. You can find the ticket link on my socials. I just want to thank Mike for coming on. And anytime you guys want to go bowl, let me know. I'm not too far. I'll even go to Splitsville. I work like 2 minutes away from there. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Right on.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Paul.
Two things that I mean, there's got to be other ones, but like when someone mentions it, it stays in my mind until I have it. It's Chinese food and Louis Pizza.
Yeah,
because it's good, right? And like when someone says it, it's like I think about it, and like
Yeah.
next 2 days from now, I'll think about pizza. Let's face it, 2 hours from now, I'll think about pizza. But I'll be like, oh, Louis Pizza, But like I find Louis Pizza when I have it, I it's not the same as Chinese food though. Like when I have Chinese food, I it's like a hankering for it until I have it, and then when I have it, I'm like, okay, I'm good for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't know how they eat that every day in China, right? But yeah, that's my final thought. Actually, I should say I'm excited about next week. The Friday and Saturday doing the show with Mike. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. I will have my final word, and then we'll give the final word to you, Mike. Thank you so much. Thanks, Paul, for setting this up. We really appreciate your time, Mike. I've got a list of about 40 questions that we didn't get to. I'm going to graciously ask, we'd love to have you back. I know you're a very busy guy, hugely popular. If you would do us the honor to come back, we would love to have you back, and we can get through some more of these questions to learn more about you and the world of magic. So thank you so much. Mike, final word goes to you.
Yeah, thanks for the hang, guys. This was a lot of fun, and I'm just a big supporter. Like I love comedy, whether it's watching like movies or going to see it live, watching specials.
You laugh at everything. You laugh.
Yeah, like I have like kind of like a just like a dark, twisted sense of humor with a lot of stuff. So like anything though makes me laugh. And so, yeah, it was a fun hang, and I'll be doing those 2 shows next week with Paul, and you can see or get tickets there at magicexperience.ca is probably the easiest one to remember. And go ahead and come out and see the show. You'll have some laughs. You'll be amazed. But thanks, guys. Seriously, this was a lot of fun talking shop about all sorts of things, whether it's magic, comedy. I always like shooting the breeze. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Bring some next week. It'll be.
I will. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Louis Pizza and ketchup chips. And of course, there's your website.
Call that a horse breakfast.
Yeah, there you go. Go to michaelthemagician.ca for learn more about Mike. It's an amazing site. He's got all kinds of socials. You can link to his socials from the website. So go check that out. So thanks again, Mike. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Paul. And we will see you all next time.
Thank you.